This is Dave from Amplify, and I'm here talking to Kian, and we're going to have a nice chat about everything, music and more.
Yes.
Let's start right at the start. Have you always wanted to be an artist? Obviously you started young. Uh, when did you get the songwriting bug?
I think it was never something I actively was like going out being like, I want to be this, I want to be that. I feel like my whole life I kind of just have floated around just doing whatever I was addicted to at the time. But I think music kind of came to me pretty naturally just from like the way I was brought up and how much music was around me growing up. And like I've got siblings that like do dance and like different stuff. So there's like obviously that uh kind of symbiotic relationship I already had with music. Um, but yeah, I think it wasn't until like high school when I actually started to try to write my own songs. I had like kind of always sung in my own time and like didn't really like take anything too seriously. It was like I had a guitar, I could like play a few little chords on it and stuff, and it was like started as a very humble beginnings. Um, but yeah, once I got to high school, I started like having got writing some songs. I got into a studio, made my first song, and I think from there I kind of realized that I maybe was able to do some stuff that other people maybe don't naturally just do. Because I don't know, talking to some people, like I feel like it's funny for me, and talking to other artists is like I think sometimes you forget that like it's not something that everyone can do. Like not everyone can just like hear chords and start singing a song over the top. It's like something I think I take for granted a little bit. And I have to remind myself sometimes is that I do have a gift. Like a lot of my peers have gifts, and it's like we can't really, as much as it like we get lost in all like the business side of music and like all the other stuff. At the end of the day, we have a gift, and it's important that we share it with people and like are able to keep developing that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I was going to ask about this later, but I'll just throw this in quickly. Even though people spend their whole lives trying to maintain control, control really doesn't really exist. The album's about me trying to live in the now, which is hard sometimes. I have to remind myself to embrace the moment, embrace the fall. Now, that's about your album, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you talking about one of the things that I find as an old conscious man who's spent, 10, 20 years dealing with consciousness and here and meditation and all that sort of stuff, you don't see it a lot in young people, especially in the social media era where they're chasing numbers and they're chasing outcomes, etc. And that comment is reasonably profound insofar as that in the moment experience, there is really nothing but your collaboration with the moment. And then
Yeah.
all the stories come from that, and they're all just stories about your next step and your collaboration with the moment. So when I read that, I thought, there's an old soul in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think my name actually means old soul, which is funny, but I think like the I don't know, that whole thing for me is like I spend a lot of time thinking, like probably too much time, and I think that comes from being a creative and an artist. Like that's half the job is you're just thinking about ideas or thinking about things a lot and like over analyzing things that hopefully it might inspire you in some kind of way. But in doing that, I think it does pull you out of the moment sometimes, and you're not able to actually just embrace what's happening like right now. I guess that's kind of what it was about. And I think it's also about I was having conversations with some friends about it, and the idea of like the fall, and I guess the metaphor here is like you're kind of falling through life, and you haven't really got control of what could happen. Like anything could be around the corner, and it's almost like you're falling through the sky. I went skydiving a few years ago. I hated it. It was the worst thing I ever did, but it was like the feeling of like
I get it.
you're not really in control anymore. Like anything could happen, and I think that's kind of like where life is. We spend so much time trying to like manage everything and like, or we create all this stress that doesn't really exist because we want control. But it's just like at the end of the day, it can take one devastating thing in your life to happen, or like you could
Well, this
lose
is
someone, or on the other side of it, something amazing could happen. You don't know. Like it's like I think it's all about perspective in that sense, and trying to be like just mindful of keeping in the present, like being able to like take your achievements and like be really proud of them, and but also when you're in your lows, be able to realize like it's not going to be like this forever. Like we can just keep moving, and like things will happen.
this
I don't
is
know. That's kind of where I was at.
it's a much bigger conversation for another time because
100%.
I really like dealing in this area, but to just bring it right back, in my view, there's no measurement in anything. Everything's just a story that comes from your connection. If you can detach and connect to source, whether you call that God or the universe or whatever, and get out of the Atari, your mind, where you have all sorts of limitations because it's just bound by your experience, you can create what, like using, manifestation is this force rather than this creation. Creation, all the words can mean words. Anyhow, sorry.
No, I agree. I think it's like too. It's like music is music is so much bigger than like just me writing something on a piece of paper and performing it. Like it doesn't like it's kind of crazy because music doesn't really exist in any kind of plane that you can like physically feel other than like a vinyl or something. But like even then, it's not. That's just what plays the music. But like I don't
You
know.
can you can have tits and ass and get a million followers, but there's no real meaningful process taking place. Whereas when you're sharing your music and you're telling a story and you're hitting people at a different level, I think that's a much more meaningful sort of process. But you've got to feel it. It doesn't matter what other people say. You've got to go where you feel, and that's the important part. I'll never get through that. I'm sorry that I sort of.
No, you're fine. I'm happy to have a chat about anything. We're all good.
We'll do it. We'll do it another time. I'm going to start a podcast in this conscious sort of area, and I'd love to have a chat with you about because you're in your youth, you're not expected to be wise. You're supposed to develop experience before people look at you as being wise. But there's plenty of wise youngsters, but it just means that what they've done is they've connected up early, which would be good to talk about. Talking about that, Castlemaine. How does Castlemaine sort of come into it? Because it's a small country town.
Yeah.
And how do and your Triple J Unearthed win in 2018, you were just a youngster, inverted, if you don't mind me saying that. How did that all fit around? It must be a bit of a head thing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I think just speaking on Castlemaine, like growing up there, it's a place where there's a lot of like cool things happening. There's a lot of creative stuff happening. There's a lot of really talented people, whether it's on an athletic side or on a music side. It's a town that seems to produce a lot of people who become really passionate about things and really push for success. And I think that comes from like that small town mentality. It's not super easy to get recognized out of places like that. And there's obviously so many places like that around Australia. But in saying that as well, there's also the other side of a small town where it's like everyone gets very comfortable, and it's like the idea of sometimes it's really hard to break that bubble and feel like you can do that. And I think a lot of people just see their town as like that's all they're ever going to be.
They know you. And so when you do something different or you move down or you start getting creative, they know you. So it's a bit harder to sort of show them something different when when they see you and know you and, they've already got their deep set sort of ideas.
Yeah. I think I can't remember who it was. I was reading an artist that was talking about this, but they were saying like that the last place they like actually cracked in terms of like an audience and a fan base was like their hometown, or like their home city. It's like everywhere else, like the other side of the world was like getting into their music, but like the people that they grew up with around them like didn't get it. And I think it is that it's hard. It's almost like when you have a favorite artist, right? There's a lot of artists that I love that I don't want to meet because I don't want to like have an experience that could alter my perception of what their music is. So I think it's a bit of that. Like it's hard to detach. If I grow up with someone, it's hard to detach like the kid they grew up with in high school to like the guy that's making music and trying to like say something, But yeah, 100%. I know what you mean. But Castlemaine's awesome. Like I think there's parts of it that I think have shaped me as a person. There's parts of it that I definitely think, can be better. But it's just like I don't know. It's just as I said before. It's a country town. There's a lot of my friends that have been able to like go out and do amazing things, and there's also people that have just stayed there, and that's awesome as well. It's like
You can do that.
happy and comfortable.
Have you been overseas?
Yeah, I have been overseas. Yeah.
So New York or any of that sort of stuff, like
Yeah,
you're
I've been to New York. I've been to LA.
madness.
Been to a few places. It's totally different. Even like within Australia, like I moved straight from Castlemaine to Sydney, and that was like um pretty crazy. Like you don't realize like the rat race, even compared to Melbourne and Sydney. I think Sydney is just a lot more chaotic.
It is.
But yeah, it's cool. I'm back in Melbourne now. It's cool to kind of be somewhere where I spent a lot of time growing up, and like my family all lives here and stuff. So it's cool to be back and kind of definitely slow the pace down a little bit. But yeah, overseas is crazy. Whether it's like Europe, like in Paris, Paris was crazy. Like New York's crazy. London's crazy. It's just, but at the same time, there's lots of culture cultivating in those places, and there's so many more people. There's like you could meet anyone, you could do anything. Like that's where Australia gets a bit funny because like there's only so many people that you can reach, and then you hit a point and you're like, now what can I do? Like there's
I think,
so many venues you can
but
play. There's only so many things.
I think the extension that I was talking about before is all of those things. They all exist in thought, but
Mm-hmm.
in actual, presence is a thing like Mandela in the jail cell. Presence is just where you are and collaborating with where you are without thinking of it in terms of a measured sort of process. You can have that. You can have whatever description you want, but in
Mm-hmm.
terms of just turning up to the next step, you have the same experience here as New York, as with success, as with failure, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that you don't experience, highs of certain situations that are taking place, but you basically feel a lot. Anyhow, this is getting a bit too deep.
We're having a deep
Well,
convo.
I want this to be an advertisement for you. So it's
No,
not
no, yeah, let's do
over
it.
me having a big
I,
bloody conversation about stuff.
no, it's cool. I like having those conversations. Like I think at the same time, what you're saying, when I was making the album, as much as I like wanted to portray all these like kind of deeper things and stuff I've been thinking about, at the same time, a big part of the creation process was like I just wanted to make something that was really fun. Like I wanted it to be fun to create,
Yeah,
fun to perform, fun to
yeah.
listen to, and like that was like big thing for me. I'd never gone into a
You've
creation process
obviously,
with that in mind.
you've obviously achieved that early, and I think that in my view, as you develop more of this connection that you're talking about, I think the potential is that you'll be bigger. But my view will be when you get bigger, you won't care about being bigger because you'll be having that experience whether you're smaller, bigger, or biggest, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole point about presence. You sort of detach from the outcome, and the outcome sort of finds you rather than you're searching for the outcome.
Yeah.
How would you describe your sound?
I think one, it's very genre blending. I think like there's elements that feel very new and there's elements that maybe will be nostalgic for some people. Um, I think for me, my sound is it's definitely sitting in the land of pop more than anything else. But I think there's definitely elements from like 90s rock and early 2000s rock, and there's elements from more like indie music of today and like alternative music of today. But I feel like I've done a lot of time over the last few years exploring genres, like making some stuff that's more like an R&B soul world, doing some stuff that's more indie pop leaning. And then I think to land where I was for the album, I feel like I finally found the sound that I really felt. I could feel it. Like it was so easy to create. I could just like straight away write a song. That I kind of knew that this is the sound I wanted to kind of go for the record and like really push for. I felt like I could write 1,000 songs in that way. So that was really cool. I feel like it felt like I was constantly grinding away, like grinding gears to like figure out what it was that would like itch that like or scratch that itch that I had. And this was what did it for the sound of this album. So yeah, it's like taking inspiration from bands like Block Party and Smashing Pumpkins and the Pixies and like all different bands which are awesome and they're all at the same time totally different to me. But it was just cool to like find things I love about that, whether it's like lyrics or whether it's like just guitar tones or just things that generally make me feel good. That was kind of stuff I wanted to try to put into my music.
Why do you think fans resonated with your music so early?
Um, I think I think part of it is because at the time when I first started writing songs, I was just writing about feelings. It was like and it wasn't like I was trying to like create something really fabricated. As much as like the stories didn't necessarily have to be exactly about me. Maybe it could be about someone else or whatever. But I feel like because I was trying to be as honest as I could be, I think people prefer to hear things like that because it feels relatable and it feels real and it feels like something that maybe they've experienced before. There's artists and bands out there that I love that like I don't even really know what the song's about, but it reminds me of a feeling in a time in my life. And I think that's what people want from music. At least that's what I think I want from music. So yeah, that's the kind of the philosophy I feel like I went for early days, and even to now, it's kind of still flowing through to now. But I don't know, man. At the same time, I think a part of it was me obviously being having the gift to write songs, and then a part of it also is just timing as well. Like I think things just happened in a certain way, and it was a totally different time for music, even just 6, 7 years ago. Um, so yeah, I think I don't know how what would happen if I was in that same situation now, but I'm just really grateful for how things ended up happening, panning out.
Tell us a little bit about Ultraviolet, your latest single.
Yeah. Ultraviolet. It's funny, like when we were creating that song, we had an original version which sounded really different to the original, like to this now song. Um, we ended up like listening back to it after like 3 weeks not hearing it when we were in the studio, and then we're like, there's like something about it we love, but there's also a lot of it that like we weren't loving. And so we sat there and we kind of did like the Rick Rubin thing. Where we were like, let's just remove everything that we feel like doesn't need to be there, and like then we'll find the thing that actually is making us feel something. So for us, it was like there was a guitar line slash guitar tone, and we felt like the essence of the songs, like the lyrics and melodies, were feeling good. So basically, we just stripped it all back to just the guitar line and the vocal, and then we rebuilt the whole song. We sped it up heaps, did all this stuff, and then re-recorded it all. But it was cool to do that because I'd never really done that with the song. Completely reimagined it, like stripped it all the way back after we've already produced it pretty much, and then been like, there's something in here. Like we didn't nail it the first time. Let's just keep running at it. And we did that. So that was cool. But the song itself is, I guess, ultraviolet light is like it's like that little purple light you shine. I've got a torch here somewhere that does it, but like you shine it on things and sometimes like you'll see yuck gross stuff that like is there that you wouldn't see with your eyes. But in my mind, I was wanting to use it as a metaphor for like trying to see more than what you just see on the surface all the time and trying to like always, it's like maybe I didn't get things right today, but maybe tomorrow I will. It's like that idea is like I can't see it right now, but it's there. Um, and that was the thing. Trying to see an ultraviolet was it. Just trying to not get too lost in what I can see right now and know that there's like things in the future that I can reach. But I don't know. That was kind of where I was at. It might be a bit silly and far fetched, but I think to me it felt really powerful to me in the moment when I was writing it.
Okay, the new album "Wake Up Your Falling's coming out in November. What are the signature tracks and which ones translate well or will translate well live, do you think?
There's been a few like I think obviously the ones with high energy. There's like the song "The Way," which was the first song of the album that I had released at the start in like the end of the last year. And that it's just obviously it's like a really fast kind of post-punk kind of style song. It's super like I think it's the fastest song I've ever made. I can't remember what BPM it is, but it's something crazy. And so yeah, that's always fun live because it's just heaps of energy. It's real fast. But I find the song just flies by because it's so quick. It's just like, oh, the song's done. What the hell? And then that song's been cool. My personal favorite song to play is called 2 a.m. Um, I don't really even know how to explain it, but I just love like the journey it takes when you listen to it, when you play it live. A lot of the time when I play through the album, sorry, someone's screaming past in their car. Um, a lot of the time when I play people the album, that's the song that they walk away being like, that was awesome. So I know that I'm really excited for that song to come out. But there's so many songs, like honestly, it was the hardest thing to pick. It's been really hard to pick like my set list for my shows, and it's been really hard to like pick the singles that were coming out because I kind of love all the songs, and I wish I could just do all of them, play all of them, release all of them as singles, but just can't. So yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I just love it. I just love it all. It's the first time I've like just literally been so attached to my music that I just love it. I can't explain it, but
And it's
that's
like
right.
I interview lots of bands, and some of these people have 10 albums and 15 albums, and they come out
Yeah.
of the door. and it's obvious that they can't play everything that they want to play, so they'll
Yeah.
play an album from 10 years ago, and then they'll add a few new bits or something like that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the fans love it. You know,
Yes.
you have concerns that they're not going to like something, but the ones that pay their money that walk up already know what they're paying for. So
Yeah.
you just have to go out there and perform. And whether you do one song or another, everyone's got a different attachment to
Yeah.
something. So, you know, I think having said that, what tours or events are coming up?
I've got a few little shows. I'm playing like a gig in Brisbane soon. I'm not sure exactly when this is going to be coming out, but that's on the first.
We better not
So
say too much then, because I know from, you know, embargoed press that if I, you know, mention
oh
it,
no, this is fine. This show's already been announced and stuff, so that's fine. But yeah, there's definitely gonna be more stuff. My plan right now, I'm just kind of getting it all together, but kind of around closer to album release and when I get my hands on all the vinyls which are coming, like I want to start doing some like little pop-up gigs, like kind of get I think my philosophy is I want to like be able to meet a lot of the people that love my music and like face to face and have conversations and because I feel like that's not something that happens a lot these days with social media. You don't get that experience. So
business is converting a customer into an advertiser. So I always try and get across to people, and it's an old school philosophy. But don't worry about the macro. You know, we live in a TikTok age where people are trying to get 1,000 likes.
yeah,
Get yourself 50 lovers, and those 50 lovers will turn into 10,000 likes because
yeah,
people follow followers. So if you do have that experience with those small pop-ups, you'll probably find in a year or two the exponential growth will be commercial. It won't be just, you know, some sort of figurative thing in the head.
yeah. I think that's been like a big struggle for me. I think a lot of artists struggle with it.
I
A
do.
lot of the people, pretty much everyone I'm talking to now is struggling with stuff from online and like trying to kind of push through all the noise. I think it becomes really hard. You spend so much time creating something and like pouring everything, money, time, mental health into like this
You could bring
body
out
of
a
work
CD.
or
You could
something.
bring out a CD before and make half of the sale. Now
Yeah.
you bring out a song and you get a million streams and they send you a few cents. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous. You know, it's not a.
Yeah, I think it just gets hard. I think it's hard these days to determine the worth of music and the worth of art. I think there's a lot of blurred lines. But that's what I'm saying in terms of like meeting the people that are invested in me, even if it is only a small handful of people. It's like that means so much more than like just posting something online and hoping that people like
Well,
comment. You know.
Boss, it's up to us, you and me, to hang tough and not worry about the return so much as educating people about the value. Because if people understand what you go through to create what you create, and you know the years of investment and the money and the time and the way that you know commit yourself to it, they don't see that in the TikTok age. They just see that someone's come out with a song and they think, bang, it just blew up and they're making $1 million and they're
Mm-hmm.
all just having fun traveling the world. And that doesn't happen. I tell you, I know the guys, again, like I say, arena tourists that say it's a good holiday, but, you know, it's really hard to make a quid in money.
Yeah.
And so you've got to, I think that's an educational process where, like you were talking about with art and that, you've got to educate the public. And the best way to do so is at your pop-up shows when you can actually talk to the people and they can get a feel for who you are and what you're about. So I
Yeah.
agree with
So yeah,
what.
what I'd say with that is like anyone that's interested in like coming to a gig, just kind of like keep checking like just acting when I'm active on social media. I'll probably be posting soon about when I'm doing some shows. Maybe it might be some record store shows. It might be a few little just pop up gigs around various cities in Australia. But yeah, it's something that right now, literally as we're doing this meeting, I'm trying to like in the background organize all this stuff. So yeah, it's cool.
If you could perform with any music artist, alive or dead, but if you nominate someone dead, we're going to say they're alive for the performance. Who
Yeah,
would you choose and why?
it's a really hard question.
You've only got thousands of years to choose from. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so hard. I think like I've in terms of being able to perform, you got to look at like some of the best performers. I think someone like Prince would be amazing. Like just because he's an incredible musician. I've heard a lot of. I never got to obviously see him play, but I think I've spoken to a lot of people who have, and like they say
King,
it was like a life changing
king,
experience.
the king.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's unbelievable.
So someone like him, but there's so many people, man. Like I
Ready?
think, yeah, there's so many people. I think like there's even people like I always say this for like dream person to work with, or even just like sit down and ask questions to. Would be like someone like Pharrell Williams. I feel like
Oh,
he's
fantastic.
done so many things, and he's been so influential to like a lot of creatives and a lot of artists that I really love. So I just would like to like pick his brain for a little bit and stuff. But yeah, there's so many people.
How
It's
would
I,
you? How would you? Who would you say that you mimic, or someone who if you were giving some, if someone said, "I want to go out and see a Kian show," what's it like? Now I know
mm,
you're not going to copy anyone or anything like that, but what would you say? Is it a
I don't even know. That's a hard question. I feel like I need other people to answer that.
unique?
I can't. I can't. I think yeah. I think it's unique personally, but I also I don't
Good.
know. I don't. I feel like I don't ever try to be anyone but myself, and I think that's kind of where I'll leave that because I don't really know.
All right. Long-term aspirations. What have you got left? You know,
A
like you're
lot of things.
aging now.
I think long term aspiration at the end of the day for me is to be happy, man. I think that's the
Perfect.
end goal. It's you know what everyone's always chasing. It's hard to, as an artist because like a lot of the time, no matter what achievements you get, it's never good enough. But I think you know there's obviously various things. Like it'd be awesome to go out there and have these musical achievements, whether it's awards or being able to play at big festivals and stuff. I think that is awesome and it's cool to have those goals. But I think ultimately for me, it's like I just want respect from the people around me, and I want to be respectful to everyone else, and I want happipiness. So as long as I can
Advice.
eventually get there in my life,
What
that'll be it.
advice would you give to someone starting out now that you're
I
if
think the advice I always give is there's no rush. I think that's the one thing I kind of wish I always had. Not that I regret anything, but it's more that I I think there was a period of time where I was like, oh, I think this happened now. I need to do this now. I need to release music now. But at the end of the day, you can spend a lot of time honing something in and
right,
getting really comfortable. I think my one thing that I would go back and tell myself would be, um, you know, build a foundation first. Like whether it's music or whether it's an
right,
audience or whatever it is, just
right.
build a foundation because it's hard when you start trying to climb when you've got nothing underneath you, and then you
I
keep
agree.
falling down.
Not only that, but another thing is in this TikTok age, everyone wants numbers. And I say, if you get 1,000 people looking at your unprepared platform that you're talking about,
Mhm,
they're off there selling the worst of you rather than the best of you.
mhm.
Whereas if you wait until you're prepared and you've got your music and you've got your social media and you've got everything, so when someone comes, they get what they're after, then they'll be out there advertising you, and it'll be the right time. And you won't have to reconvert the people that you turned off early because you wanted to just get, you know,
Yeah, I think too, it's really hard because we live in a very reactive time,
you do.
and it's easy to like just become reactive yourself and
Of
like.
course, of course.
But I think being proactive is always going to be better for you. Like you're going to be able to like plan things better. Things are going to end up happening the way you want it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That's every time someone asks me, like a young person that wants to make music, ask me, I just tell them like, take your time, like work on your music. I remember like there's a funny story. I was like in Darwin, on the way to the NEMA Awards with Baker Boy. I think I was like 14 or something.
He's
Um,
great. I love Baker Boy.
and so I was in the car. It was Denzel and Paul Kelly was in the car as well. And I remember Paul Kelly was talking to us and just kind of like in this like wise way. And he was
Old
just like,
Father Time.
and he was kind of saying, he said to me something that was like, the more songs you have, the more powerful you are in this industry. And I think that was a cool thing to hear from someone who's obviously a veteran in the music industry.
Like
And
it.
it still now it makes a lot of sense. It's like, you know, as an artist and as a creator, like the more stuff you create, the better you're going to get, and also like the more opportunities you have to inspire people and inspire yourself. So I know it's cool.
The other thing you'll find about that that's consistent with the comments you made is that if you look at those old timers, they don't move fast. They're
Mhm.
not in a hurry to get places, and they still bring out albums and all sorts of stuff. But you never see them busy. You know,
Yeah,
like they're always because they've realised exactly what you said. There's no hurry to do anything. I can do it when it's the right time to do it.
For sure.
All right, here we go. We're going to finish with about some quick questions. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
You ready?
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've ever done? The police.
Craziest thing,
The police are listening.
just in general in life.
The craziest thing you've ever done.
Honestly, I reckon that's what I said before. The moment I jumped out of that plane skydiving, I was like,
What the fuck did I do?
I'll never do it. Like, you don't understand. I got peer pressured into doing this. I didn't even want to do it. I was like, there's a photo from the plane. They were like, everyone take a selfie, and everyone's smiling and happy, and I'm in the back, just the most deadpan face. Like,
Are you on your own, or are you jumping with someone?
No, like I was attached to someone, but still, I was like, I'm not putting my life in this guy's hands. What the hell? Like, this is crazy. Why am I? And then like even the moment he kind of pushed us off the plane, I don't think I took a breath until this parachute pulled, and then I was like, oh my god, I can breathe. Like we're floating down, and then I finally was like, kind of thought it was cool, but I landed
again.
They were like, oh, do you want the video? I was like, do not give me the video. I don't want to. This is traumatic for me. I don't want to see it again.
All right. What's the one topic you can talk about for hours? Everything, obviously, but what's the one?
I like talking. I think music. I think everything. I'm a bit of a nerd as well, so I'm like really into video games and random stuff like that. So whether it's like video games or Lord of the Rings or something random, like I'll talk to anyone. I've got ADHD, so I like talking.
Perfect. What's the thing you like most about yourself?
I think I like that. I think I like my imagination. That's what I'll say. I like that I haven't lost that from when I was a kid. I think I was always very imaginative. I think it's the ADHD.
How old are you now? How old are you now?
22 now.
22.
Yeah. So,
Triple that. That's what I am.
yeah.
I still got imagination. Don't worry, you don't lose that imagination. We're still creative. We're still trying to create a whole heap of stuff here. That's what I'm saying in terms of the conscious side of things. There is no age.
Yeah.
Presence to me is lying on your back, letting the river take you wherever it takes you.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically you can live forever.
Yeah.
It's effortless, but there's a whole. I can feel like you've got a lot of philosophy that's in you, and to some degree, in my view, you almost have to detach from everything and reconnect to everything with a newfound with no need for anything. Mm-hmm. So you just turn up to everything with whoever you are, and in your case, it'd be a music influencer. You've got to play music, and you'll be influencing people. And the greater good you're going to do is going to be a lot more than just entertain. But that comes over the course of your life. Sorry, I'm fucking taking over.
No, you're right. You're totally fine.
Just a few questions now to finish with. People hate these, and you'll probably hate them too. Favorite album?
Favorite album? I feel like I always do. People always ask this question, but in my head, I categorize favorite albums in like genres, and then in genres, there's like my top three. So
you can say whatever you want to say. It's this is your interview.
It's really hard. I always say like my favorite albums. Like I kind of go back to like some of the first CDs I ever had, like which my mum gave me. And like that was like Demon Days by Gorillaz. I think it was.
I
think it was like, what else was it? It was it Fly or Die by NERD, and then it was Nevermind by Nirvana. And I think like those albums have been really influential to me. And like I remember I downloaded them onto like an iPod and listened to that all the time. So that was cool. But yeah, I think definitely I think Gorillaz honestly is probably my favorite. I think Demon Days, like I listened to that album till it was like completely dead for me. Yeah. I rinsed it. I think it was like the music videos as well, like so cool.
Mad
like,
animation too.
Studio that they used to work out of, and it had like all their gear there. So I was just like playing all their stuff. But anyway, maybe I shouldn't say.
Mad animation too. I love animation.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Favorite artist?
Favorite artist? Man, yeah, I hate these questions.
No, that's what everyone does. I know that.
Favorite artist? Again, I feel like for me, it's always in genres, so don't take this as like a thing. But I think, again, probably someone like Pharrell Williams is just like the way, because a lot of my other favorite artists in other genres have been influenced by him. So I think that he's definitely up there. I think like the fact that he could like rap, but also make rock music, but also like do R&B stuff, but also makes pop songs to people. I feel like I'm just like, you're crazy, man. Like
Not just pop songs. I mean,
yeah,
that was a standard. You know,
yeah,
that was an absolute
yeah.
standard. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Yeah, another good question.
Thanks.
I'm trying to think. I actually don't have a favorite movie, but I'm gonna say one just for the thing. I'm gonna say my favorite movie.
What have you watched most?
Oh man, like if I'm being completely honest, the movie I've probably watched the most in my life is probably like the Lord of the Rings series. I rewatched them the other day actually. But as a kid, I was like addicted to it. I used to like have it on repeat. I was like the director's cut. It was like extra long, and just like the whole day I just sit there as a kid and watch it all. And then like the next day I just rewatch it all again. So is that otherwise? I'm sure like my family would probably say when I was like a little kid, I'd probably just have watched like Shrek 1,000 times or something. Um, that's
I,
cool.
I am a fan of The Sound of Music. I mean,
Yeah,
I actually saw that when it came out in '65 with the family. I was 7.
yeah,
We went off to the movie. So, but I can watch that now, and as a feeler, you know, it's a great love story,
yeah,
and you know they do it really well with the whole family sort of scene. And
yeah.
most of us have had challenges or difficulties growing up, and all this sort of stuff, and you know that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't be too worried about any of the
No,
answers.
there's heaps of movies. I think like I remember there was one movie I spoke about the other day, which it was like one of the first times I got really like emotional watching a movie, and it was called Lion. I don't know if you watched that movie, but
Of course.
yeah, that movie is like that was the first time I think I was like ever in a cinema, and I just actually was crying. I was like,
Nicole
yeah,
Kidman and the dude out of that
yeah, I forgot his name. He's an incredible actor.
incredible actor,
Yeah,
incredible, absolutely. Favorite
but
place?
yeah, that wasn't all. I think too because it was kind of based on a true story, so I think that's what made it really extra heartbreaking.
Favorite place to visit?
Favorite place to visit? I think like in terms of in general, it's definitely got to be like kind of rekindling with some family in like a little place that you would go to. Whether it's like going to see my dad's family, they live in like Echuca, so it's going to see them. It's like reminds me of like when I was younger. But also like I love food, so I also love going to places that have really good food. Whether it's like some little spots around Melbourne that I love, or back home Castlemaine, or like yeah, like there's like a really sick bakery in Castlemaine. So every time I go there, I'm like eating there like every day.
Did you hit Brussels in Europe?
I didn't hit Brussels in Europe. No.
In Brussels, they've got all these laneways, and they're just cafe, cafe, cafe. All these laneways that go
Yeah.
through. All of them are just cafes, cafe,
Yeah.
cafe, 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 cafe. It's just ridiculous. So
Yeah.
food's cool. Favorite venue to play?
Favorite venue to play. I think like definitely my favorite venue I've ever played was the Forum. I supported
Everyone loves the Forum.
yeah, I supported. I think it was. I've supported a few people, but I did support. I think for Georgia Smith there, and that was really cool. It was like I think it's just a beautiful venue, and it's like it's kind of the venue for me that like if I could get a point into my career where I was able to fill forum show by myself, I feel like that would be a big moment for me. So
It's a classical place, though. It's like a theatre,
yeah,
and it's good for music, and it's good for shooting photography. So the photographers are out of the way, and it's good for fans, and it's
yeah,
good.
I think it has a cool atmosphere,
For,
it's really cool. But I also love little intimate shows as well, like really small venues. They can be even more amazing, because you get that transfer of energy. It's a lot, I feel because everyone's tired and it's all hot. You're like, oh shit, like we're all here. That's cool.
favorite food?
Favorite food? I reckon I usually just like straight up say anything that has like chicken. I like chicken. So like whether it's like a good curry or like a good fried chicken or like whatever, I like chicken. So that's what I'll say. Favorite food though, like I love like Middle Eastern food a lot as well. Like there was a Egyptian place I would go to a lot in Sydney. Like again, I'd get like a little chicken wrap or something. But yeah.
Where did you live in Sydney?
I was living in Newtown. So
Oh, yeah.
first when I moved there, I was out southwest, but then we moved into the city, so that was cool. But yeah, so there was a
I
lot of
lived
like
in, I
there's a
lived
lot of
in
like
Darlinghurst for
restaurants
about
around there. And stuff. Was it sorry?
I lived in Darlinghurst for about 18
Oh
months,
yeah,
about
nice.
300 meters from Hyde Park.
Yeah,
And it was, just basically over the road from OAF.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
terrific. I loved
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's some really good food spots around Oxford Street as well.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Favorite, although Marrickville's pretty cool too. Favorite person in history. Oh, sorry. Favorite drink.
Favorite drink? Just water, man. I'm a big water guy. That's right, man.
A cheap night out. Favorite
Yeah.
person in history.
Jesus. I'm not a big history dude, to be honest. But
Admit me now.
yeah, you. There you go. Let's say that. We
Well,
got it.
well, you know how many times I say that in interviews? I say it every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of it. It's hard to think about. I feel like a lot of the time when you learn about
But
history,
you're a philosopher, so you must have thought about different people from the perspective of, looking for examples and what they do and what they're,
for
like
sure.
you're inquisitive and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So
I do like learning. I spend a lot of time on YouTube learning about things that I probably will never have to use in my life, but it's super fun.
don't we
So
all? So is there anybody that you can sort of nominate as someone that you're interested in from that sort of perspective? What they do, what they follow, and influence.
I think I'm just trying to think of like something. So I feel like I'm trying to make sure it's prolific, but I also
No, it doesn't have to be. A
I
lot of
can't think
people
of
said mum or dad
yeah,
or,
yeah.
or
You know
whatever.
what? There you go. I think family. I think like yeah. I think for me, I will say that's actually true. I was thinking too big. I think family for me, just even like the people before me, ancestors, whatever it is. I think you gotta look there and be like I got here like my mom's family's from Albania or they're from Kosovo. They're Albanian, so it's like there's my grandparents had come to Australia, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without them. So
There's
yeah,
a
you got
story there, I'll tell you. If you go back and are they still alive?
my grandparents on my mom's side aren't alive anymore, but yeah, I've learned a lot about the history like
If you
back
went
home.
back there, mate, you'd understand that having a challenging day isn't leaving your wearing your thongs instead of your shoes, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Back in
for
those
sure,
days when they were growing up, they had real challenges over there.
for
All
sure.
right, favorite tattoo. This is the last question. Favorite tattoo.
Well, I got this one, so that's actually it's good. We're talking about Albania. That's the chiponia from the flag. It's like the eagle from the flag.
Really?
But I have that on my arm. I haven't got that many tattoos. I'm trying to get more, but they seem to every time I want to do it, I look at my bank account and I think maybe I shouldn't do that today. That's where I'm at.
Thanks, brother. Well, that's this 15-minute, 20-minute interview has gone for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? It was a good 45 minutes. I think it's
It was.
40
It was.
well spent.
We'll have another one later
Yeah,
because I can just see in the next couple of years you're going to keep on searching, and I think um, without sounding egoic or anything like that, you sort of learn. It's like uh, it's like unconscious incompetence learns to conscious incompetence, learns to conscious competence, leads to unconscious competence. And within
mm,
that process, you basically, when you're unconsciously incompetent, you think you know everything and you know not much. And as you develop, you know a lot more and become a guru in other people's eyes, but you understand how much you just don't know. And you think that you're small because you're just a little part of this sort of situation. But you've
yeah,
got sort of you can help people in a way. Help's probably the wrong word. Influence. You've got to have. We're all the same. It's just
yeah,
that we all bloom at different times.
yeah,
But you've got to be you, whatever you is. And the fact that there's a whole human part to that is just a part that eventually you've got to sort of detach from and let happen rather than think that you can, create. in a
Yeah,
sense.
you can't force things. I think like
No.
I was reading something the other day as well. Someone was saying there's you can look at life and be like, think this wasn't meant to be, or you could be like, this wasn't meant to be today. And it's like that idea of like, there's always opportunity down the line. Like everyone has their own moment, everyone has their own time. Just because like someone I know did something a certain way doesn't mean that I can do the same thing and get to the same place, because
Well,
we're just on different paths. So
you were
yeah.
born with everything you need.
Yeah.
So to pursue anything is futile
Yeah.
because you already have everything. So from that position, do everything that you're going to do as if you have everything rather
Yeah.
than you need something.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
you'll keep living, even if it's living on the street, you go to Africa and live on the bloody ground while you're hunting or whatever. These are all primal experiences. And once you start, Mandela learned a lot in jail because he didn't have that learning until he was forced to be in his own space. And that's when he expanded. And I think that's the point I can see in your situation. Not many people that are your age are are not searching is the wrong word, or exploring.
Mm.
They're just basically, like you're saying, in the reactive place. Something's happening and they're doing it. Something else is happening and they're doing it. Someone says this and they're doing it. So like the fridge light comes on and they look. So it's
Yeah.
not really an exploration to sort of feel something. It's more just a cerebral sort of process. And at some
Yeah.
stage, I think that you found early 6 years ago that once you started to show people who you were from that feeling perspective, people said, "Hey, I want some of this." And I think that
Yeah.
if the more you do that, I think the bigger, the better your experience is going to develop.
No, for sure.
My view.
I definitely agree with that. I think yeah, it all makes sense. I think too, it's like that's just something I think is a good philosophy for me to have in life in general, is to be like, um, it doesn't matter if I'm doing music or whatever I'm doing, as long as I'm like going out and posing a question to myself, like, what would happen if I did this? Then like, I think that's the way I want to live life, and like be able to just try things, whether it's like, I want to get into film or get into whatever, like I can go and do those things, and that is only going to make my experience better for me. So I'm going out and learning and taking things in.
Now you know me. I'm always here, and I've always got the answer. So whenever you need the answer, you only just need to contact me, and I'll give it.
No, for sure, man. I appreciate it. It was an awesome chat. Thanks for
Been a
the.
pleasure. Thank you. I'll whack it up, and we'll share it around, and maybe a few people will see it.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks so much, man.
All the best. All the best. Good luck with everything. Good luck with the album,
Thank you.
and I'll look forward to catching up with you when you're headlining the forum.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you.